So today I really wanted to talk about the vagus nerve. So we're going to cover just a wee tiny bit of the importance of the vagus nerve and then a little wee bit about some exercises that you can do. So the very quick background on the vagus nerve is it's one of the 12 cranial nerves, and it really connects pretty much everywhere in the body. But most importantly, it's our nerve that helps us understand safety in the world. And if we're safe in the world, then we can calm down. And one of the problems that starts to happen is for a lot of us, we walk around in the world that we don't feel particularly safe in at any time. And so regardless of what's happening around us, or regardless of what's actually happening around us, what's the saying? Perception is reality. So the way that we perceive it is actually the reality of how our body is going to respond. And so these exercises serve as a way for, regardless of what's going on around you, for you to calm and center your body. And what they really are is a way of telling the vagus nerve that you are safe, so that it can trigger your body to get into a state that can heal and that can calm, rather than staying in a stressed state. Very often stress has very, very little to do with what's going on around us, and much more to do with our state and our reaction to that. We often can't control those external things, but we can control internally. And that's what chiropractic really seeks to do, is allow your body to function better brain-body communication, better calm. Post-adjustment, we clinically see a change in the person. We can see it in their eyes, we can see it in their expression, we see how open their eyes are, we see their breathing change. But all of those are things that we want to see sustained, and so these exercises really go well with your chiropractic care to calm your body. So the first thing that we'll talk about is what you can do really, really simply without any special exercises. Simply taking a big inhalation through the nose, and then an exhalation through your mouth, and having that exhalation be longer than that inhalation. In addition to that, things like humming, or chanting, singing to yourself, all of those low tones. And if you notice, those also elongate that out breath. All of these things serve to calm the body. We can also do things that sound silly, like gargling. Or have you ever had a moment where you're really mad and you come in, or you see kids do that? Well, what they're really doing is actually that's actually a technique to calm the vagus. It's called the Vasalva Maneuver. And it's where you sort of imagine that you are blowing up a balloon, but you don't let the air out. So it looks like this. Maybe you'll get a bit red in the face. Maybe there's a sound that it will come out, but you can imagine that you're blowing out and not letting the air out. Maybe you don't have to frown the way I did, but you get the idea. And so very often kids will do this as they're really mad, and you'll see them go, what they're doing, while they look like it's just having a temper tantrum, it's actually this innate calming to their body. So that might look pretty silly if you actually had a temper tantrum, but you can use that technique when you're feeling stressed, when you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're feeling you're going to lose it. Just remember that simply using that technique, maybe doing that longer exhale, or humming or singing to yourself, can help to calm that body. Very often we don't even know we're in a stressed state. What I see in the office, what I see in a great many people, is we are so stressed, we've been there for so long, that we don't even know that we're in a stressed state. The example that I love to use for people is, how do you boil a frog? And quite simply, we boil a frog by putting him into lukewarm water and turning up the heat slowly, and then he never notices that he boils. If you put many of us, I'm doing this recording in March of 2022, so 2 years into the pandemic that we won't talk about. Many of us, if you put us back in our bodies of 2 years ago and then fast forward and threw us into our state now, we would feel it. I often use this example with parents. If I went back to pre-kids and took that person and put them in your body right now, with the number of things going on in your mind and the fatigue and the stresses that you have, and that can work for probably any career and many stages in life, right? That we would kind of lose it. But that slow creep of stress, we don't even notice, just like that frog getting put into lukewarm water and going into boiling. So the point in all of this is, very often we don't notice that we're under stress. We have no idea that we're as stressed as we are. And so using these techniques when we feel even slightly overwhelmed can be greatly helpful, because we don't realize that we're very overwhelmed and very stressed. So I want to give you some exercises that you can do even when you're at home. And I actually chose to do these exercises specifically outside because nature itself is very calming. So when we're trying to calm ourselves, nature is a great place to do it. So I'm out in the backyard right now enjoying the springtime, and that's super calming, and that's a great place to start. So this exercise is called the basic polyvagal exercise. And so what you're going to do is preferably have a puppy around you while doing it. But what you're going to do is you're going to interlace your fingers. So interlace those fingers, and then you're going to put it behind. So ideally this exercise is actually done laying down. It's just easier to film it sitting up. So you're going to interlace those fingers and have them behind your neck. You're going to lay down on your back and let your head rest on your hands. What you're going to find is those hands are basically around your neck, and the base of your skull is going to sit along your baby fingers, the outside of your baby fingers. Or sort of that knuckle between your baby finger and your hand. And you're gonna lay on that back. You're gonna remember some breathing in through your nose and out, either through your nose or your mouth, but longer exhale than inhale. And while you're on your back, you're gonna look straight ahead, and you're gonna start by looking and just shifting your eyes to the right. So you're not gonna rock your whole head to the right. You're just gonna rock or look your eyes as far as you can to the right. And you can hold that position on your back, just breathing comfortably, looking to the right for anywhere from 30 to 60 seconds. And what you're looking for is a sigh, a yawn, and for your nervous system to start to relax and unwind. Or a sigh, that was the other one. So a yawn or a sigh. After 30 to 60 seconds, let yourself come back to center and look straight ahead. When you're ready, you'll repeat the whole exercise to the left side. And again, we're looking to calm that vagus nerve. The research behind it is all into what's called polyvagal, but really the biggest thing, the most important thing for you to know is that it's just exercises to help unwind and calm your own body and allow your body to start to feel safe in whatever environment you're in. So you're going to hold that to the left for 30 to 60 seconds and then come back to the midline. There you go. That's one. Okay, so the second exercise is what's called polyvagal stretching. And what's so interesting about so many of these exercises is we can almost relate to them in ways that we have unconsciously calmed ourselves. Have you ever been thinking about something and you find yourself, doing this or going, ugh, as you're trying to figure something out? What's really interesting is you're actually automatically, innately, because our body is so brilliant, doing something that's calming your nervous system. So the exercise goes like this. You're just going to gently take your hands and you're going to put them over the midline of your forehead, and you're just going to pull outward. And remember, as we're doing these things, just keep that breathing nice and calm. You hear sirens around me and a puppy playing in the snow. And then you're going to do the same thing, hands over your nose or beside your nose, and pulling away from the midline just gently. So you're just using pressure along here and pulling away from the midline. And then you're going to do the same thing over your cheeks by your jaw. And then you're going to do the same thing, and you're going to pull away. And then you're also going to use this over the chest, and your hands nice and broad and pulling away. So just enough. You feel that pressure and you feel that pull away. I often think of this one as the similar pressure you might have when you're getting a hug and you're chest to chest with somebody else, but you're just pulling away from that midline wherever it feels good. What again is so interesting is we've all done that, where we've pressed here or gone, ugh, right? We've seen it in our kids, we've seen it in ourselves. When we just tap into what our body innately does, a lot of that is this. So again, polyvagal, looking at that vagus in that nervous system, calming and learning how to create that feeling of calm no matter what the environment is around us. I hope that that's helpful. That's number 2. Okay, so exercise number 3 actually has a couple of different components. So I'll talk about the first part about the breath, and then I'll tell you about the arm positions. So the breath, you're going to breathe in for a count of 4. So you're going to breathe in for 4. You're going to hold for 7. And breathe out for 8. Great. Super simple. 4, 7, 8. In for 4, hold for 7, out for 8. Now what we're going to do is we're going to layer some arm positions onto that. So you're going to have your right arm or your right palm down and your left palm up and those arms out. So again, my right is facing down, my left is facing up, breathing or out. Ideally, again, we can do this on the floor. But if you're somewhere where you can't lay down, try it standing up. I would ideally be doing it on the floor. And those arms are going to be out. You're going to breathe in for 4, hold for 7, out for 8. And you're going to do that 10 times. In for 4, hold for 7, and out for 8. I won't bore you by making you watch me do it. Now, same arm position all the way up. My right hand is facing down, my left is facing up still, right? And as those arms are above, this is what it looks like. So, right, this one's facing out. So basically they're both facing the same way. Arms up. And you're going to do the same thing. In for 4, hold for 7, out for 8. Now we do it all over again. This one is facing up. This one is going to face, this one's facing up. This one's going to face down. And you start all over again. 4, 7, 8. Arms up over your head. 4, 7, 8. 10 times. So 10, 10, 10, 10. That may seem more complicated, but I'll have it written down below and you can take your time working through it. Take that time, take those long, slow breaths and really ground yourself in your body. We're working on that vagus nerve, settling down and trying to give you some tools that settles your body in any state or in any environment. Okay, number 4 is actually my favorite. And it's my favorite because I think overall it's probably the easiest. It's kind of the one that we can do at any point. And so what you're going to do is those hands are going to go over your heart or over your chest. And what I want you to do is I want you to feel where it feels good. Does it feel good pulling to the left, the right, up, over, down? For me, often it feels good pulling to the left. It really doesn't matter. Or the right. Sometimes, different times I've done it, it felt better that pulling up. Sometimes it's down. Either way, you're going to figure it with that direction, lightly just shifting and putting that pressure, that pull that way. I like to imagine again that it's like a hug and that pressure that you would get with a hug. And all you're really doing is putting that pressure to calm your own nervous system. And you're going to go back to that breath, that in for 4, that hold for 7, and out for 8. I counted a little bit quick there. You can go slower than that if you can. Either way, it's that rhythm in, hold, and long, slow out that makes a huge difference. That pressure, and you can do it for as long as it feels good. The really cool thing about that one is you can actually do that while you're waiting for a red light. You can do that while somebody's on hold. You could probably even do it standing in line at the grocery store. Anywhere where you're feeling that little bit of that uptightness, you can just hold that. These crows are making a lot of racket around behind me. But either way, regardless of what's happening behind you and around you, you can use this to calm your entire nervous system and really access that vagus nerve to tell your body that you're calm and centered and safe.